You think you've had a hard time dating? I once went on a date with a guy, ABC Cosina, and he showed up with an overnight bag.
Dating these days is a new Olympic sport. She went on a date with a guy, of course, and he came with an overnight backpack. Like the clothes he will wear the next day. He came with it to the date so that he can sleep over at the girl's place. Like, what's going on? Let me go ahead and roll the clip for you all to watch, and I'll come back and talk about it.
You think you've had a hard time dating? I once went on a date with a guy, ABC Cosina, and he showed up with an overnight bag. And I just knew it was an overnight bag. I knew it wasn't a gym bag. At the end of the date, he's like, oh, I'll call us a car. I said, okay, cool. He hands me his phone. He said, put in your address. I said, well, why don't you put in your address and then I'll put in mine? And he was like, no, we're going back to yours. And I said, no, we're not. It's not a homeless shelter. I'm not taking in strays. We're not doing that. It's not happening. You're going home and I'm going home. So if you want to call me a car home, that's great. And once I told him that, he said he wasn't going to call me a car. And I said, that's fine. I'll call my own car. Peace out, Girl Scout. To the man that brought his overnight bag to my date. Are you dumb or stupid?
It's definitely dumb. It's definitely dumb and stupid. Hey beautiful people, how y'all doing today? It's your girl Maria David, and I'm back again with another interesting video. See, this video shocked me. I was shocked because it doesn't make sense to me. How can you be on a date with someone and you're carried overnight bag to sleep over at their house? Even if it was the girl that did it, even wrong. Now coming from the guy. The stitches on this video, women were sharing their stories, how they have wrong dates. They were like, no, your own is even better. I have my own. Like, the stitches are so interesting. So let's go ahead and watch the stitches together. At the end of what stitches, I will share my own opinion. But then let me know your thoughts, your comment down in the comment section. All opinion accepted in this channel. Just kind of put your opinion down respectfully. I'll let you know your thoughts, okay?
And he was like, no, we're going back to yours. And I said, no, we're not.
I've always wanted to talk about this. A few weeks ago, I went out with a guy that I met through mutual friends. And when we left the lounge that we've been at, he called us an Uber. I put my address in first. So I was the first drop off. We get in the Uber, and I quickly realized that we're going in the direction of his neighborhood and not mine. So I asked him, what happened? I was supposed to get dropped off first. That's so weird. There's only one stop. Well, just come up to my apartment and we'll call you another Uber. I'm not stupid. I know immediately. This guy just straight up canceled my stop. We get to his apartment and I go into the lobby. Come up to my apartment. I'll call you an Uber from my apartment. I'm not going up to your apartment. We go back and forth for a moment and fine, I'll call my own Uber. He says to me, can you please just stop making it creepy and weird? You canceled my stop on the Uber and now you're standing in front of the door so that I can't leave. It's creepy and it's weird. Fine, get out. Kicks me out in front of his apartment and slams the apartment door behind me. It was so loud, so aggressive. There's no way the entire building didn't hear. Men will know they're making you uncomfortable. They will be visibly crossing all of your very clear boundaries. They'll be weird. They'll be creepy. They'll try to pressure you. In their mind, none of it matters. None of it counts. If they get what they want out of it, nothing else matters.
You think you've had a hard time dating? I once went on a date with a guy.
I have a serious question. Is dating good in any city? I feel like when I lived in Boston, I used to complain about dating so much because the dating pool was so small when it came to black men. Then I moved to DC, where the dating pool with black men is a lot bigger, but still is pretty shitty. I recently saw a video of a girl in Seattle talking about dating. I'm like, damn, does it suck in every city? Now I'm seeing this girl, she lives in New York City. I just want to say New York City has niggas. I think so, at least. When I go there, I have time, if you know what I mean. But is it just shitty in every city? Is there genuinely a city that is good for dating? If there is, let me know. Like, if you live in that city, comment on this. Because I'm so intrigued by this. Like, is it everywhere? Let me know.
You think you've had a hard time dating?
Yeah. For sure. One time I went on a date with a guy and I was eating the food. It was so good. And in the middle of me eating, he calls the waitress over and asks for my food to be bagged up. I was a little bit confused by this, but it was Wednesday. And so I thought, oh, maybe he has to go and it's like running kind of late. I don't know. But I didn't care. I was like, whatever, I'll finish the food when I get home. He bags the food up. He's holding the food. Okay, I'm thinking he's gonna hold it, walk me to my car and give me the food. Because why else would I have come from the bathroom and you're holding the bag? Like, obviously we're getting ready to go. You're gonna hold the bag, you're gonna walk me, you're gonna give me my food. Y'all, he took the food. He took the food home for him and his roommate to eat for lunch the next day. You may be thinking, did you do something? Did the date go bad? No, he asked me out on another date literally the next day. Also, after, like before we got to the car, he also asked me if I wanted to go get boba, and then I said yes, and that I wanted a taro boba, and I went to go sit down, and then he got one boba. It was not a taro boba, and then drank the whole thing in front of me. So, yeah, I do think dating's not going that well for me. Thanks for asking.
You think you've had a hard time dating?
Yes, and here's why. So I met this person via TikTok, and initially they were very insistent on meeting up with me for coffee. And I was just like, no, because first of all, you're strangers. Second of all, I'm not planning to get my body shipped in a shipping container to the middle of Africa. So I politely declined the request, and then a couple of days later, there's a bit of a conversation. We start talking, but they're still very insistent on meeting up with me. And then a part of me is just like, it wouldn't hurt to make more friends. And also they agreed that they don't want to pursue anything romantically. It was going to be a friendship date. So I go on a date. It wasn't the worst date I've been on. There were a couple of red flags, but it wasn't like the worst thing to ever happen to me. After the date, I get a voice message, and this person is just like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to continue with this without developing feelings for you. And I'm just like, okay, let me nip this in the bud. Like, I do not have time for all this drama. I'm just like, no, I don't think we should carry on with this, because then people are going to get hurt, and obviously we both don't want that. Next thing, she is blowing my phone up. She is calling me. She's just like, no, I want to talk about this. Like, nothing's going to change. Nothing has to change. But I'm just like, no, this whole thing is just getting weirder by the moment. But I'm still just like, no, I don't want to be your friend. Next thing, she throws a tantrum like a 4-year-old kid with rabies. And she's just like, your decision? This is so unfair. It's so unfair that you making a decision that affects the both of us. And then she tries to gaslight me to become her friend. And I'm just like, this is weird. This is awkward. Like, what is happening here? Like, are you okay? And then a couple of weeks later, she messages me to tell me that I have so many red flags. And I'm just like, yeah, that's why you keep coming back, because I'm the problem. I didn't say that. I was just like, I'm going to try my best to work on them. Thank you for letting me know. And then a few days later, she apologizes, and she's just like, you know what? I think me and you can become friends again, because I feel like I got into my head and I was like expecting something and I didn't get that. That's why I threw a whole tantrum. And I'm just like, no. And then she's like, you don't fit the criteria anyways. Ma'am, control yourself.
You think you've had a hard time dating?
Yes, one time my Tinder date turned one night stand fell into a coma just after we, it's not like waking up after a one night stand isn't awkward enough, but I woke up to a stranger in my bed like this. Apparently I called the paramedics just in time and saved this man's life. He was very pleased. He did not continue dating after that. I was scarred from that. I did, though, find a relationship after that and fell in love, and then he cheated on me shortly after. So, yeah, that's it from me. Okay, bye.
You think you've had a hard time dating?
Yes. I got kicked out of my apartment after moving to Florida by myself to further my education. I was 21 years old, and this was my first boyfriend ever. I got dragged out of my own car. My own car that nobody helped me purchase. His broke ass and dumb ass couldn't even. I helped this man get a car 3 times. Here's what he did to some of my stuff. He also did this to my stuff to prevent me from coming back home to my apartment. He also tormented my cats. He tore my passport up so I couldn't travel back home to the islands where I'm from. His mom tried doing witchcraft or voodoo on me. He was my first boyfriend. He was a psychopath. His mother was weird. To you and your mom.
You think you've had a hard time dating?
I know that I've had a hard time dating because never in my life have I been stood up this many times. Like, this is new for me. It's new for me, and I'm coping with it, but it's also very new. I was talking to this guy a couple of months ago, and we met up approximately 2 times. Two times. And both times, he was begging me to have sex with him. And long story short, Because I did not give him sex in the 2 times that we met up, he was like, this is not going to work out. Sorry. And my response was silence. I didn't text him back after that. I don't understand dudes who think that just because you're talking to them, that you have access to their body. Like, you don't have access to my body just because you're talking to me and I'm talking to you and we're getting to know each other. You don't have access to my body unless I give you access to my body. And if you don't respect that, like 2 of them, deuces, bruh. I'm not one of those girls to give it up on the first date or the second date. And I know there are a lot of women out there who will. So I suggest that you go find one of them, because that is not me, sir. I also sleep better at night knowing that every man that I talk to doesn't have access to my body. So there is that. So yeah, dating is so fun.
You think you've had a hard time dating? I once went on a
Girl, at least you made it out the damn phone, because I can't even do that. You telling me you drove to the restaurant, you sat down, you looked at a man across the table, you actually had a conversation with him? Nah, love baby, I can't relate. In my almost 27 years of existing, I've never been on a date. I've never been a girlfriend. Yeah, I've never even gotten close to it. I'm certified triple diamond on Hinge right now. 5-time triple diamond on fucking Tinder. And I only used to download Tinder when I was drunk off wine. So it must be nice, you know, you making it to the table. Girl, you're ordering your food. Congratulations, bro. You're chowing down in front of a man. Can't relate. But damn, your experience do sound pretty tragic. Sounds horrible.
I'll call us a car. I said, okay, cool. He hands me his phone. He said, put in your address.
So I am glad that this conversation is happening, because let me tell you something. Dating in New York might be an Olympic sport, but the next adjacent Olympic sport would be dating in Atlanta, child. Oh my God. Because she was talking about, and if you haven't watched her video, go back and watch her video. And she talked about her experience with a guy who pretty much tried to get her to put in her address in his phone to order the car because he wanted to go back to her house with her after their date. Excuse me. Now let's talk about my experience. Like I said, dating in New York is a MFA, but dating in Atlanta is a major MFA. I had a guy who was so adamant about picking me up for our date. I'm talking about, he was so adamant, like, oh, I'm coming to get you. I'm a gentleman, da-da-da-da-da, this and that and the third. And I'm like, is you trying to sell me into ST? Because I don't, they gonna drop me back off at my house anyway, because let's be for real. All I'm gonna talk about is Jesus, and I'm gonna be singing very, very loud. That's so they gonna drop me back off. So, boom. I finally give in, and I was like, okay, you come pick me up. Now, I did not let that man pick me up from in front of my house. Of course not. You know, real recognize real. That's just not what you do. I'm not about to let no man pick me up from in front of my house. So I walked up to the corner and I had him pick me up from there. So we go literally up the street, maybe 2 miles up the street. He lives not too far from me. So I live on the south side in a certain area, and he lives probably like 12 minutes from me, specifically like from my little area where I walked up to get picked up from. And the restaurant was maybe 10 minutes in the opposite direction of both of us. So all in all, it wasn't gonna take long, right? So we go to the restaurant, we eat, we have drinks, all that stuff, you know, cool. Everything was cool, copacetic. Everything was good. Buddy decided when we was leaving, I was like, okay, so you can drop me off, you know, where you pick me up from. And he was like, I'm not dropping you off. Now, mind you, I had already gotten the car. So I'm like, oh, so you is trying to, I was like, we finna fight. We're about to fight. He was like, no, I thought we would just, you know what I'm saying, have a nightcap right quick. We could just, you know, go talk, chill. No. So I caused such a scene that I got out. And he was like, okay, I'll drop you off. I said, I don't even trust you to drop me off no more. He was like, well, I'll pay for your Uber then. I'll pay for your Uber. If you want to take the Uber home, I'll pay for your Uber. And I said, send the money on Cash App. Send the money on Cash App. No, this how much it gonna cost. Send the money on Cash App. He did end up sending the money on Cash App. And I ended up going home in an Uber. But that's why I don't let people pick me up for dates. That's why. Because you specifically said, I'm not taking you home. Not, oh, I didn't know you wanted to go home. Or, oh, okay, I'll drop you off back where you wanted to be dropped off at. No, you said, I'm not taking you home. Okay, so why would you pay for the Uber? Anyway, so that's my dating story in Atlanta that made me understand that you can't trust nobody. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and do it. Stitch this video, and I'll see y'all later.
I once went on a date with a guy, ABC Cosina, and he showed up with an overnight bag.
Story time. Okay, so it is my 5th date with this guy. I met him at his job. I know where he works. I know where he lives. He lives near my sister, who is a cop, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. He knows this. On our first date, he sent me a screenshot of his license. So I am thinking this guy is a great guy. He's safe. I'm cool, right? So 5th date, we've had these plans for about a week and a half. We are supposed to go to a lounge on a Saturday night when we both have had events during the day. So he had a long event during the day that was far out like in the suburbs of New York. I was supposed to have a football game for my little cousin in Brooklyn. Didn't wind up having the football game, but this football game wind up, I think, saving me because my son and my uncle and my 2 cousins were supposed to go to the football game. So in his mind, I'm spending all day with my son, my uncle, and my 2 male cousins and my 1 little boy cousin who's playing this football game. So I'm supposed to be in the house with them, and he's going to call me, and then I'm going to go meet him. It gets 9:40, and he hasn't called me yet. So I call him, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm in Queens. And I'm like, well, we're supposed to be meeting up. What's the holdup? What's going on? And he's like, oh, where's your family? And I'm like, oh, they went to get food because, you know, it's quiet in my house and he can't hear them. But my son wound up getting in a car accident that day and he never came. But something told me not to tell him that, like, my son didn't come and that my family wasn't here. So I wound up not going to the football game, but I didn't want to tell him that. I just said, oh, they went to get food. And normally I wouldn't do that. I would have told him, but something told me just to not tell him. And I didn't want to just go into everything that happened because my son got in a car accident. It was a lot. But anyway, so I'm like, oh, they went to get food. They'll be back. But by the time they get back, I'll probably be on my way to you. And he's like, no, don't leave yet. I'm going to get in an Uber. I'm going to head to the restaurant. I'll call you when I get there and I'll send an Uber for you. So I'm like, oh, okay, bet, no problem. So like 7 minutes later, he texts me and he's like, hey, I've been out all day at this event. Can I come to your house and change my clothes? Because I'm sweaty and I just would like to change my clothes before we go out. And I'm like, against my better judgment, I'm like, okay, fine. So I send him my address. He comes to my house. So as soon as he gets here, I'm like ready, like all dressed up, dolled up, hair done, makeup, nails, heels, like I'm ready to go. And I'm look at me looking at my bedroom like y'all can see it. But I'm like, you go ahead in my bedroom and you change your clothes and I'll be out here ready to go. So he's like hemming and hawing. He doesn't go in my bedroom. He's like, no, let me sit down for a minute. Let me talk. I'm like, no, go ahead, change so we can leave. He's like, so when is your family coming back? And I'm like, I don't know. They're going to come back whenever they come back. I'm like, they got keys, so it doesn't matter. And he's like, oh, they got keys? And I'm like, yeah, they have keys. And he's like, oh, man. And I'm like, go ahead and go change your clothes. What's the problem? And I see him open his bag. He opens the bag. He has slippers. He has a bathrobe. He has pajamas. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is this? And he's like, oh, man, I thought I was just going to spend the night. What? Excuse me? That was never the plan. You were never invited to spend the night. I never made any inclination that I wanted you to even be in my home. You weren't even supposed to be here now. We were supposed to meet at the restaurant. So he gets a little like agitated and he's like, oh, well, I didn't know your family was going to be here. It doesn't matter if my family was going to be here. I don't have to tell you the trappings of my life. You're not my man. So I don't understand why you're getting upset. He starts to get a little belligerent, like his body language gets very aggressive. His tone is extremely aggressive. So I have to remind him, you know, listen, you know my sister that lives up there by you. My sister literally lives like right by him, is a cop. Don't get aggressive with me. Like, my dad was in the military. There's firearms in this home for me to protect myself, so please don't get aggressive. And when I tell y'all, I totally believe that between that and also telling him, and my son and my uncle are gonna be back here in any moment, I think I narrowly escaped being assaulted. And, you know, I didn't want to tell anybody this story for a minute because I was like, everybody's going to blame me.
Yes.
Everybody's going to say I shouldn't have let him in my home. But you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Men cannot keep telling us that we can't act like they're animals and we can't act like they're monsters, but then at the same time tell us we should have chose better when someone gives us no signs that they're a monster. And then we see the monster when it's about to come out. And it wasn't until later on when I was talking to my younger sister who dates more than I do and who dates on the apps, she was like, girl, you were never going out with him that night. There was never a plan for y'all to go out. Do you realize that? That was his plan the whole time. That's why he came with a bag. That's why he didn't ask you on the phone before he got in the Uber. He texted you when he was already in the Uber so you would feel pressure to say yes. And I was like, oh my God. Because I haven't been dating. I have been in 2 back-to-back relationships for over 7 years. I have been out of the dating pool. So from that point on, I made the decision that I will never, ever let a man in my house unless he's my man. That will never happen again. I will never allow a man in this apartment unless he is my man. We are dating exclusively because that was scary. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I narrowly escaped being assaulted.
AC Cocina, and he showed up with an overnight bag.
Who taught men that they have to lie all the time?
No, because I really had to stitch this. So I think it was last summer I met this guy, right? And I'm like, okay, like, this is gonna be good. He's older, like 36, 37, no problem. Mind you, I'm probably like 27 at this time, so there's a good 9-10 year difference. So when I met this guy, I told him, like, I'm celibate. Like, if you're looking for more than, you know, this, it's not gonna work. He's like, boom, okay, no problem. Like, it's fine. Like, I want to get to know you, rah, rah, rah. He doesn't live in the country, so he flew out to see me. Flies out to see me, whatever. I'm still thinking we're good. You know, like, he's still like, whoa, like, you're celibate. Like, I really respect this about you, you know? Then he tries to make a move. Like, make a move. And I was like, bro, whoa, like, what are you doing? Like, we already talked about this. Like, this is not gonna happen. Mind you, we had a date this same night, okay? So I knew saying something was probably gonna cause a problem. Can you believe? Like, I knew I looked fly that night. I looked so good. He never said, wow, you look amazing. Never held the door for me. Didn't tell me he was calling an Uber, just went downstairs. And at this point, like, this is how you know I'm just dumb, because I should have just went home. I went against my better judgment, and I should have just, guys, don't judge me. Anyways, get to the restaurant. We're sitting across from each other. He orders, I order. I didn't have to pay, so it's fine. No conversation. We're literally, you know, like at nighttime, guys, on a weekend, food takes long to come out. Long. Never said a word to me. But then had the nerve to stick his fork in my shrimp from across the table. Baby, what? Anyways, long story short, you can't trust these men. Period.
You all have heard hilarious stories today. What's going on? What's going on in the dating pool? Like, what's going on? Are these men alright? Like, do we need to give them holiday so that they can get their brain in check? What's going on? Hey! I thought the first creator that had these hostages, I thought her story was actually the shockest. But the one that actually shocked me most was the one that went into coma. I would have died because what would I have done? Then it ended up cheating on her. Or the one that came to the house to stay over. You're supposed to go on a date. You told the lady you want to go on a date with her. She has done her hair, done her makeup, done her nails, dressed up. You're like, oh, I'm sweaty, I must come and change in your house. You already have slippers in your bag. The audacity. Hey! What's going on? Like, what's going on? What's going on? You all let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. Have you experienced anything like this before? Let me know your thoughts. I feel like I've not experienced someone who just call me, I want to sleep over. No. I feel like the one that I've experienced is men trying to act like they have money, but they don't have money. When I meet someone and they're already like telling you a lot of things that they own. Oh, I have this, I'm the owner of this. I already know, like, can you just shift? Because if you're making money that you have this, then you're not the owner. Trust me, you're not the owner. What's going on? Oh, the one that took, there's another one, the one that packaged our food. She was eating. He packaged our food and took it home. Are these people normal? Hey, I've heard it all today. Like, the stories are very interesting but shocking. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section, and thank you all so much for sticking around to this point. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and kindly turn on the post notification bell when you subscribe so you can get notified each time I upload an interesting video like this one. Alright, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.